This is Margaret Ann Windsor. I'm not sure that second tape went up so well, but I'm going to finish it with this. I think you can understand. I wrote about mind control murders. I found out that they've been going on a long time, but some of them done in patterns. Else, how would you prove it or even know it? Larry Flint was shot, and I keep showing that because he was shot in uh, March the 6th of 78 in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And while I was doing the book in Cobb County, that's, I was brought over here and given the name of Peggy Childers. I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace. And Childers, that's what he has here. I was flown to his home. He actually says here he endorsed me, and I'm sorry, this got dropped and all that in April of '84 issue. He says here that they made a pauper out of me and that I knew who was responsible for his shooting. Now then, when I met him, the first thing he said to me when I was flown out there in '83 to his home during the political campaign to replace Larry McDonald, Dr. Congressman, who I had written about and had antifreeze put in my brain and should have died, and worked for Fred Simpson, the district attorney, across the state line illegally. They took me and passed a background check. Now then, I had antifreeze put in April the 1st of '80. This has been a joke. And they go up here Boston strong. Those two young men were programmed. They were from a former Soviet, and that's exactly it. They were puppets. And people hate them. And Boston is sitting up there like they're the good guys. My mother, let me tell you, was Irish. O'Keefe, that's Irish, you know. And she was Catholic. I'm sure she gave it up for my father. But the New World Order didn't want an honest man, so they had to make lies and everything and use my uncle to take him down, George the Sixth, who's illegal, helped kidnap me. Kennedy, Joe Kennedy was ambassador. There's your good Irish, right? Helped kidnap me and bring me to Moulton, Alabama, and that's why the Warren Commission was cover-up. They gave me the name of a twin, and Peggy Ann Dipsy Childers, and both twins were dead, killed by their mom. They were born out of wedlock. And I grew up thinking that that was my name. And I was tortured every day of my life while I was there and later in my life, everything. Now I'm going to go to one of the mind control murders, Amy Bishop. She was from Boston. And if I'm being a bit redundant, I'm sorry. It's a lot to put on one tape, and I have to go back. I usually just say this from memory, but I'm going to say this about Amy Bishop. On February 13th, 10th, in Huntsville, Alabama University Extension Center there, she was a professor of biology, and she shot 3 fellow professors and killed them. And it was supposedly given that it was because of a tenure that she was supposed to get something and didn't. So she's going to go whack in and shoot them over that, right? Well, she's under mind control. Her name is Amy Bishop Anderson, as in Anastasia Anderson, who they killed using the mental health system, Blue Ridge Mental Health up here, May the 4th of '84. They did. And then I end up coming up here. She's a cousin of mine, and she really was Anastasia. But anyway, it's a name in here, like Wallace Simpson. I worked for the VA, and Simpson was supposed to marry my father. By the way, she was illegitimate birth, and that's a double that married her. And my father was married to Claudia O'Keefe, Georgia, the artist's sister. Now then, I'm going to go on and just read this and see, because I keep doing tapes, and I don't know if anybody follows it or not. It's really one of the, I would consider, most important things. First of all, you're pressed to not tell about who I am and my father and my mother and the takedown, and that my Uncle George was illegal. Instead, they're Rockefeller controlled, the people that kidnapped me. the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, etc. New World Order, Illuminati. So they control your press. So they're touting Elizabeth and they're giving all this coverage to little George. Ask yourself why. Not one word of covering me, anything about me other than some lies or half-truths told by the Roanoke Times prior to 99. And then, of course, Larry Flint did try to help. Now then, I want to go and read this about Amy Bishop. She's from Massachusetts. She shot her 3 colleagues to death, and they're at the university, and shot some others, but they lived. All right, to get back to, I'm going to go ahead and say this. Miller, her attorney, I talked with him, and he informed me or reminded me he had worked with me briefly when I worked in 80 after the antifreeze in my brain, which was horrible. He worked with me briefly there at the district attorney's office. Now he's later representing Amy Bishop that I'm speaking of, professor. And he's going to have to plead her insane. And this is like they're doing with the rest of these mind control victims. Mind control has nothing to do with mental illness, and yet mental illness is getting blamed for it. It's a murder weapon. And these people are just as much a victim as the ones they killed. They can't help it. They don't know. Now then, I'm going to read from this and see if I can get it in before this goes off, and I don't think I will. Biology professor Bishop pled guilty to killing Alabama colleagues, 3 of them, in February 13th of 10. She gets life in prison for the shooting rampage, and police in Boston, well, let me say this, police in Alabama college shooting suspect killed her brother in 1986. Amy Bishop Anderson, who was then known as Amy Bishop, Massachusetts police stated Amy Bishop killed her brother in 86 in Massachusetts. Amy never charged in her brother's death. Police logs stated it as an accidental shooting. Professor Amy Bishop Anderson charged in the shooting deaths Friday of 3 faculty members. Also Professor Amy, well, I might as well do it from memory if I could, only that part I can't. So excuse me, I guess they'll tell me that my videos aren't in order here or something. I'm going to turn it over and it's not going to go. She shot her brother 23 years ago. Braintree, Massachusetts stated Amy Bishop Anderson, then known as Amy Bishop, was never charged with her brother's death. Police records detailing the 86 accidental are missing, and the log of the incident lost. It lists it as accidental, though, but all this is lost. Judith Baker, Amy Bishop's mother, was a member of the police department and on the personnel board, as well as lead investigator. Captain Theodore Bucher, who has since died, told that Amy should be released to her mother. Polo, P-O-L-I-O, he's a policeman or captain, detective or something there, said a request was filed with the Office of District Attorney Bill Delhunt to conduct an inquiry, but Delhunt never did so. He is now a Democratic congressman representing Massachusetts. He was in Jerusalem at that time and unable to comment on the case, spokesman Mark Forrest said to CNN. Amy Bishop was eligible for the death penalty in Alabama. Madison County District Attorney Bouchard stated others were injured in the shooting. Now, this is where I worked for Fred Simpson, and Miller, her attorney, spoke with me and was going to see if he could use my testimony, then call back 10 minutes later. Someone had gotten to him. Her attorney was Miller, which I've said, and I spoke with him, and I've said that. Now let me go over here and see if I can get this on before it goes off, and I'm not going to. So in other words, what's happened is she's been said she's insane. Mind control never entered into it, but she's a victim also. And by the way, Boston Strong, they're touting their